Ho ho ho! How y'all doing out there in YouTube land? This is Stiletto coming at you from the Wild West. Well, part two of the video. And my year-end video on my fidgeting knives that I like to fidget with, take to work, use all the time. These are it. These are the ones. This is my rotation drawer. These are the ones that made it to my rotation drawer. The previous video you saw the ones I liked from last year, and you saw the ones that I purchased this year, but they didn't make it into my box, and I let you know the different reasons why. And these are all the ones that made it into my box. All these knives I feel safe to use. They all feel safe to me to use. I don't worry about the blade folding back in my hand because these are flipper safe. The flippers are big enough and the finger grooves are big enough to save your fingers if the lock was to give out. This past year has been the first year since the early 2000s that I actually even purchased a liner lock. With the exception of Tie-Lite 6s, and the exception of the Limited. The Limited, I didn't buy that one to use. The Oyabun, Limited Oyabun, with Lindsey Thompson on it, I bought that one just to collect. So I wasn't concerned with it being a liner lock or whatever. Even though after receiving it, I like the way that the liner lock works, and I like the liner lock. Now, if they were to make a knife like that wasn't a collector's edition, I'd probably purchase one. But I do not like the 26T, the budget Oyabun. I bought that one, and I did a video on it that wasn't too positive, and let everybody know what I think about it. Because I was expecting it to be a really good knife, just like all of the cold steel knives are. The majority of them that I purchase, they're all durable and strong. Even if I don't like them, they're still durable and strong. So anyway, that's that. These are some awesome knives. Let's start with one of my favorites, the Sliver Axe. Spyderco Sliver Axe. Compression lock. It's got laminated carbon fiber G10 handle scales on. These scales I love. Usually I don't like the laminated carbon fiber G10 scales. For example, like on CJRB Briar. When they're like that, I don't like them. And it looks cheap to me. A lot of people like it. To me, it looks cheap. I don't know. This looks right. This is one of the knives I've carried to work the most this past year, since I purchased it. I absolutely love it. It's not only a great fidgeter, but it's a great cutter. It's great for prepping, preparing my lunches and doing stuff like that I need to do at work. Because at my job, I can't leave it for lunch. I have to eat at work. And so we always bring our own food and use your pocket knife to help, unless you bring a dinner knife or something. I always just bring my pocket knife. And I use this to help prepare my food. And it's excellent like that. This S30V blade has been holding its edge. I haven't had to resharpen it. I have lightly stropped it, but I haven't had to resharpen it. And it's a fun knife, and it's a beautiful knife. And it'd make a great self-defense folder. I have confidence that this would be a great self-defense folder. This one really wraps around your fingers. So if this lock was to give out, there's no way in the world this would fold in on your hand. Your hand would keep the blade in its position. This has got one of the best designed handles for a weaker Loctite. And that would still keep your hand safe. That's what's cool about this knife. It's made in Taichung, Taiwan. Excellent. I would give this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. The reason why I'm giving it 4.5 because I think it could use a little bit more detent. The detent on this one lacks. It's cut up one pair of pants of mine. The pair of pants I'm wearing, actually. Retrieving it out of the pocket. Sliced up a pocket. But the detent in this one needs to be a little bit stronger. But I've gotten used to it, so it doesn't bother me. And for the reverse finger flick, the middle finger flick, whatever you call it, it works great. So if that's what you like to do, this is an awesome knife for that. Me myself, I like to use the flipper, and I like to use the bend in my finger like that. That's my favorite way to flip. And not all knives will flip like that, I've noticed. So that's why I sort of determine which knives I like the best and which ones I don't. Next one up, the Amalgam. Another excellent knife. Just like the previous one. The only reason why I don't carry this one as much is because it's bigger and heavier. The other one's lighter and slimmer and a lot easier to carry. This one's more like a heavier duty work knife. But I love this one too. I love this one too. It's one of my favorite knives. Compression lock, and it's got the carbon fiber G10 laminate that works for me on this one. It's a perfect knife. All right, so these are my compression locks that made it into my box. My 2 compression lock folders from Spyderco. Awesome folders. I've never had to adjust the blades on them. They've stayed centered the entire time I've owned them. I've never had to take them apart or do any kind of maintenance on them. I just put a couple drops of oil in them and that's it. They're ready to go. And these both are almost a year old now, and they've had a lot of use, and they still function like brand new. So the fit and finish and the quality of these 2 knives is top notch. These aren't cheap knives though. This was like 180 and this was like a 160 or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. You go look back at my previous videos of these and find out. But these are excellent knives. I would highly recommend these both. I love them both. I love them both. And like I said, this is the one I've carried the most. This one I carry all the time. It's a highly carried, highly used knife. This one's highly carried and highly used too, but just not as much as the sliver axe. The sliver axe is pretty much one in my pocket over the Amalgam. If I had to pick between one between the 2 of these, I'd pick the sliver axe. Even though the Amalgam is a favorite and the most popular one between these 2, I like the sliver axe. Sliver axe works for me. I mean, it's a beautiful knife, I think. Next knife up, let's get into button locks. Let's talk about some button locks now. This is one of my favorite new little knives. I don't carry a lot of little knives, and the ones I do carry, they have to be a knife that I really like, because I'm not really into little knives. But sometimes they're necessary, though. Sometimes it's necessary to have a little knife if you're in a position where you want to take a knife out at the post office and cut open your mail while you're at the post office. This knife is perfect for that. It won't scare anybody. It won't offend anybody. My previous knife I used to always like to carry and use for doing tasks like this is my mini lawman, mini American lawman. This is a Hogue. It's called a microflip. It's awesome. Awesome folder. It's got a CPM 154 stainless steel blade. CPM, that's the powdered steel. Not the 154 CM. This is a CPM 154. It's powdered steel. It's an Elshowitz design. It's got 6061 aluminum handles. It's got polished blade, hollow ground. What are we going to call that? Is that a sheep's foot or Wharncliffe? I would call it, I don't know. It sort of looks like a sheep's foot too, because it's coming down, bam. But it's sort of like a Wharncliffe too, because it starts back here, so I don't know. I'm going to call it a Wharncliffe. But I love it. Whatever it is, I love it. And it's got a, what do you call it, a stonewash finish on the blade. This one. The Cogent. The Cogent. The Cogent. This is one awesome folder. One awesome folder. That's all I got to say. If you don't have one, go get one. This is the best button lock that I've seen for under $200. Well, I don't know. You know, the Hogues are pretty good. But the best fidgeting button lock, the only one that's above this, you know, or on the same level, maybe should I say, would be like a Malibu, ProTech Malibu. I have a ProTech, and it's a switchblade, but that uses the button lock also. This is beautiful. I mean, and it functions perfectly. I've been carrying this every day. This has been my new EDC favorite. And I play around with it when I'm at home, watching TV or whatever on the computer, fidgeting with it like I'm doing right now. And it's never needed to be adjusted, just like the Spydercos. You know, these are $200 knives. This is I paid $63 for it, $63 or $65 for it or something like that. It's in the budget category. It's a beautiful knife. It's absolutely beautiful. And I like the way they didn't put in all the branding all over the blade. They call this a powdered PVD finish. No, a stonewash PVD finish. The handles are made out of G10. This is purple G10. And I love this one so much. Guess what I did, people? You know what I did. I bet you already know what I did. Yes, I ordered not one, but two more. I ordered two more. I had to get the one with the 9CR and 10CR Damascus steel blade. Yes, I did say 9CR and 10CR Damascus steel blade. That's what it is. I know on Knife Center they always talk about it's a 9CR, but it's mixed with 10CR. 9 and 10CR. And it has the OD green or dark green micarta handle scales. And I got the other one with the natural G10, the G10. Y'all know I love that. This color of G10. Even though I never end up carrying these like to work or whatever, I will carry it when I'm at home or you know around doing things off work, you know, where I don't worry about if people see it or not. But I absolutely love this color. I like flashy knives too. It's not all my knives have to be black. I like flashy knives too, and I've been thinking about trying some different colors this next year. You know, but they would have to be dark colors for me. They can't be bright colors that say, "Look at my pocket." If somebody's able to see it, but like a color like this is perfect. This doesn't attract a lot of attention when it's in your pocket, especially when it's got the black pocket clip and all the black hardware. It's a lot like having a black knife in your pocket. Doesn't attract that much attention at all. Especially deep pocket clarity, you know, you don't even see the knife. So this, Civivi totally got this one right. This might be my favorite of the new favorite of this year. The Cogent. We'll talk about it in a minute. But anyway, let's move on. Another one of the great button locks that I think is, well, it's probably better than this one because it is. You know, this is American-made button lock. This is Brian Ty and Friends. And just like this one, it's a real plunge lock. But this is American plunge lock. You know, it's just perfect. And the Brian Ty and Friends with this 5mm blade and Tonto blade, this hollow ground. It's a beautiful, 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 beautiful. It's like a work of art piece of knife. And this is the most budget-friendly version of this knife. Sure, you can get the CRKT versions, but they're not like the real Brian Ty versions. This is like the real like the handmade versions. Only it's not. It's made by Brian Ty and Friends, so I think this is considered like what do you call it, a mid-tech knife or something like that. It's got a 154 CM blade. It's got the older style steel, 154 CM. It's not powdered. It's super thick, 5 millimeters thick. It's hollow ground. Tonto blade. I love Tontos. American style Tontos. I love them. Finger grooves in the handle. The one thing that gets me about this one, though, is that I know that this pocket clip is very innovative, and it has looks like a ceramic ball bearing in it, you know, and it works very well. You know, it retains very well in your pocket and stuff like that. But it creates hot spots for me, this part down here. When I'm holding it, maybe it's because my hand might be a little bit too big for this knife. Even though this is a full-size knife. This is a 4-inch blade, you know. I don't know what size the handle is. But maybe it's just a little bit too small for my hand or something. Because I have sort of like medium, large hands. I wear extra large motorcycle gloves. But I don't really think of my hands as being like super big or anything. Because I'm not super fat or anything, so it's not like super fat fingers or anything like that. You know, I think my hands are kind of normal. But they're a little bit on the bigger side than rather they are on the smaller side. I absolutely love this knife. And when you hold it in the reverse grip, it feels really good. It feels really good in reverse grip. And the action of this on this one is awesome. It's awesome. That's awesome action. But that's what you expect. This is a $200 to $300 knife. It depends on where you get it. Sometimes it's over $300. So, I would expect that. But this action's just as good. See what I'm saying? Neither one of these knives have any blade play at all. No up and down, no blade play at all. And see, that's the hard thing to do with the button lock, is find a button lock where there's no blade play and things center out perfectly all the time. This knife has never been adjusted. And I don't even know how many times I've opened it by now. Opened it and closed it and played with it. It's a perfect knife. The reason why it's perfect, because it's at a perfect price. I think this one's worth $60 to $100 all day long. I think that's a good price for one of these. $60 to $100, $50 to $100 for one of these types of knives. And the Micarta one, I think that was, I can't remember how much I paid. I want to say like $80 or $87 or something like that. And it's got Micarta and Damascus steel. And I haven't seen it yet in person, but I've seen them on videos, and it looks beautiful. And I absolutely love this one. This is my work knife here. I call this one Purple Rain. Yes, after Prince, Purple Rain. That's what I call this one. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. It's addictive. I can't stop playing with it. Okay. Next. We went through the Brian Ty and Friends. We got to move along here. Another push button. Now this is a strong push button. This push button here will compete with triad lock knives as far as strength is concerned. Yes, it's the Flavio Icoma linchpin with the 4116 corrupt stainless steel, German corrupt stainless steel. It's got FRN handle scales, thick stainless steel liners, but what makes this sucker so badass is the deadbolt. The deadbolt. Nice thick blade stock. I think it's 3.8 millimeter if I remember right. Beautiful knife. I absolutely love this one. I like this one better than the Seismic. I have a couple of the Seismics and a couple of these. And a couple of the linchpins. Y'all know me. I always got to do 2 of everything. But the linchpin is my favorite. But that's not a Flavio Kuma design. But it is a Flavio Kuma design lock. And the IKBS ball bearings, that comes from Flavio too. That's his design also. So Flavio is very innovative, and a lot of the new features that new knives have are influenced by him. This one's got an external blade stop. That's what these are for. They could be thumb studs too. They could be, used like thumb studs. I never use them like that. This one, it's a flipper to me. I like using it as a flipper. And these have a trick to them. If you don't want them to get off center, see how this one stays on center all the time? You got to use a little bit of red Loctite. Just a drop, not a whole lot. Just a little drop on the pivot pin screw that holds it. You got to take it all apart, and you got to put a little drop on it. And once you do that and you let it dry, it'll never come apart on you again. But if you don't, these will loosen up. These will loosen up big time. Absolutely love them. Flavio Kuma, you rock, dude. You and Andrew Demko, you guys are two of my knife heroes. And here's another American knife that I really love, like the Brian Time Friends and the Hogue micro flip. Is the Hogue X5. I've got probably more Hogue X5s, single model Hogue X5s than any other single model of knife on this thing. I got a lot of X5s because I really like the X5. I take this one with me all the time on a motorcycle. And it is the Harley Davidson X5. The special edition Harley Davidson X5, Hogue X5. Uh-oh. Just dropped it on the floor. You watching live YouTube. Live YouTube. And like a Timex, it just keeps on ticking. It's one of my favorites. Hogue X5. All right, let's move on. And I think the coating on these is PVD also. It's either PVD or Cerakote. I can't tell you for sure. I can't remember which one it was. I've had this knife, all last year. This knife is about a year old. Next one up, let's come back this way. Start with the frame locks. And the first frame lock that we're going to start with will be the Subframe Lock. This one's almost like the missing link between a frame lock and a liner lock. That's the best way I can explain it. And I love this knife. This is American-made Kershaw. Bare knuckle. And yes, I did have to get another Kershaw. I got the 20 CV one. But I'm using that one as a collector. It's all blacked out. DLC coated. This one's got a black stonewash. Absolutely love it. This is one of my favorite work knives. This one goes to work with me a lot. Another one of my favorite work knives. For work knives, I love knives that are like this size. 3.5 inches or so, right around there. 3 3/4, or no, 3 1/4 to about 3 3/4 at the biggest for work knives. And my favorite size is probably like in between 3 3/4, or 3 inches to about 3.5 inches. Are usually like knives I like the best for work. When they get over 3.5 inches, they start to be a little bit too big for me for work, but sometimes I'll carry them anyway, if I really like the knife. This is an awesome folder. A lot of people have problems opening and closing these, I've heard, but if you don't put your finger on the, excuse me, if you don't put your finger on the subframe lock or subframe bar, it will open perfectly. But if you do, if you're touching it, I think it depresses on the what do you call it, the little ball. What do you call them? Oh, my mind went blank on it. But anyway, you press on it, and you hold the ball inside this little slot, and so the blade won't open. So like if I put my finger on the lock bar, oh, it opened that time. Trying to prove me wrong. Oh, see, now it won't open. There it goes, finally open, but it took a lot to push that open. But if you don't put your finger on it, it works perfect. It opens nice and easily. So that's sort of like the trick I've learned on, pretty much all frame locks are like that. All frame locks that I know of that I've used are pretty much like that. And these are my first frame locks, my first liner locks, and probably about 12 years, 12, 15 years maybe. I've purchased frame locks or liner locks. So this last year has been a new experience for me, and I've discovered a lot of them that I feel like are pretty safe. And that's what these are. All right, next one up will be my little case. Case Kinzua. Is that how you say it? Kinzua. No, Kinzua. Kinzua. It's a 35 SVN, made in USA, case cutlery knife. This is the first modern case cutlery knife I've ever owned. I own a lot of case knives, fixed blades, and folders in my lifetime, and none of them have been modern style knives. They've been all like remakes of old knives or old style type knives. Absolutely love it. This one is smooth, and the handle's super smooth. I mean, super slick, but it feels really good. I can't explain it. It just feels good in your hand. And I really like it. And it's got a nice thick blade. The grind lines aren't perfect on it from side to side. This grind line right here. Take a look at that real good. Now look at the other side. That one goes straight. The other one has a little bit of a belly to it. I'm a little bit nitpicky on stuff like that. But other than that, it's perfect. Now this one, the pivot, I mean, it will float to the other side because it does become loose. After you play with it a lot, it will be the pivot screws will become loose. But you know, I don't know if this is the first attempt at case cutlery making one of these knives. But, you know, if it is, they did a good job. It's like this one's moved a little bit off center right now already. Because the pivot comes loose pretty quick. And I haven't Loctited it or anything. You can Loctite it. But I prefer not to Loctite knives because I like to take things apart and clean them. And lots of times when you Loctite, like, T8 screws or T6 screws, I don't know, you can strip out screws or mess up your drivers, and you know, it's just a mess. So I tend to try not to Loctite them. All right, next one. Next favorite. Oh, now this one. This one here. It's a Russian knife. My first Russian knife. It's from Dagger Knives. It's a Condor. I absolutely love it. I want more of these. Come on, Dagger Knives, send some more to Blade HQ or find some more dealers. We need more of these in the U.S. These are beautiful knives. Stainless steel. This is an $80 knife. It's got a stainless steel frame with a frame lock. I love that feature. The other side is G10. It's a G10 scale sitting on a a stainless steel liner. Everything's totally stonewashed. The frame, the whole knife is stonewashed. All the metal parts are stonewashed, including the backspacer. And look at that. The screaming skull. Ah! Absolutely love it. Absolutely love Dagger Knives. This is not, I've watched a lot of their videos, and oh man, they're so cool. Dagger Knives is so cool. I wish it was an American company in the United States. They'd be so cool. Because he's a lot like Lynn Thompson. And the way that I mean by that is that he enjoys his knives. He enjoys testing them. He enjoys making videos about them, and enjoys talking about his knives and stuff like that. So I don't know. He just makes you want to get one of his knives just from watching his videos. Like even if you watch him in Russian, you can't even understand the Russian. You can sort of understand his energy. And this one's got the what do you call it? The hardened steel insert. And they send you an extra hardened steel insert. So it also works as the blade stop. And they send you an extra one in case it wears out. Nobody's ever done that. I've never seen anybody else do that. And this knife has been opened and closed 1 billion times. I've carried it on motorcycles and I carry it like inside my vest. But it's one thing about this pocket clip. It'd work okay for jeans if you don't ride a motorcycle, but if you ride a motorcycle, I wouldn't recommend it because it's not because the pocket clip doesn't hold tight or whatever. This pocket holds very tight, but the thing is that the what do you call it? The stone washed stainless steel finish on the frame is super smooth, so it'll slide in and out of your pocket real easy. So it doesn't work as an outside pocket knife. That's the way I wanted to actually carry this on my motorcycle, but it didn't work that way. And I don't want to lose this knife. These knives are hard to get. They're hard to get because they're hard to get them from Russia. You have to wait on Blade HQ to receive a shipment of them. And whenever they receive a shipment of them, they go really fast. So I have 2 of these. I was able to get 2 Condors. They both look exactly the same. I got one as a backup in case something happened to this one. I absolutely love it. 3.2 millimeter D2 blade. I would call this a Warren Cliff. I know a lot of people want to call it a spear. It could be both, you know what I mean? But to me, it's like a Warren Cliff blade. A big Warren Cliff. It's a 5-inch blade. 5-inch blade. It's about 10 3/4 in total length. Excellent knife. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is my first ZT. My very first ZT. The action on this one, it's got carbon fiber on this side. This side is titanium. The blade is 20 CV. It's got a Persian style blade. And it's made by Sinkovich. It's a Sinkovich design. Made USA. Absolutely love this knife. And it's a 462. It's 0462 model. This is my favorite ZT so far. I got 2 of them. I bought another one. I had to have one as a backup. So I have 2 of these. This is the one that I've been carrying. It's got some rub marks on it and stuff if you look at it really close on the blade and stuff too. But it's an awesome knife. The action on this is, all these knives have awesome action. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Beautiful knife. And I always put off ZTs because I didn't think they were as strong as a triad lock, so I never mess with them. This is my first one. I'm so glad I got it. This one right here is Arson Cutlery, new company I tried out this past year. And I haven't bought knives from China since I had a bad shipment that I got when I used to sell knives. And so they turned me off the Chinese knives. It came from Master Cutlery. Don't ever buy anything from Master Cutlery. And I haven't bought Chinese knives in almost 20 years, over 20 years. This is the first year that I've gotten into buying Chinese knives from a Chinese manufacturer. I have bought Chinese knives through companies like CRKT or Cold Steel or SOG or other American companies. That's the only way I trusted buying Chinese knives for the longest now. So this is the first year that I've bought knives from Chinese manufacturers. Actually, it's the second year because the first year I bought Axis lock style knives, and then this past year I've gotten to to the flipper knives. And so the first year I didn't really buy that many Chinese. I bought like maybe 3. But this year I bought a lot. And you know what? They're making some really nice knives. At least Arson Cutlery is. Arson Cutlery and Civivi and CJRB. I don't have a Wii knife yet, but I believe those are nice knives too. Because Civivi is like the budget line for Wii knives, just like CJRB is for artisan knives. And my Civivi knives, like this one, this is a Civivi knife. It's one of the best button locks I've ever owned. It's just as good as any of my $200 button locks. You know, I have a few $200 button locks from Brian Ty and Friends and Hogue. And I have one ProTech, but it's a switchblade, so I don't know if I should be counting that. I'm talking about manuals here. But this is just as good as any of those button locks. And I also have some crappy button locks too, that are like collector's knives. You know, the Brian Ty CRKRT ones. Those, you know, they always something. Each one has something. Like they either have side to side or up and down or something. But you know, none of them are like perfect. The best one is probably the Brian Ty Fighter, the BT Fighter, the biggest one. I would say that's probably the best one out the bunch out of those. But those are like budget button locks. You know, they're not perfect. This one's perfect. This one doesn't have all those issues that the other ones have. This one works just like a $200 knife. I can't stop talking about it. Okay. Here we are, the waistline. Arson Cutlery waistline. And this one is M390. M390 waistline. I have an S35VN one too with the silver handle. With the unfinished handle. Titanium handles. These are titanium handles. Super lightweight. Safe to use. 4mm blade stock. Original Japanese style Tonto type blade. It's beautiful. It's modeled after a tower or a large building in China. The handle is. The shape of it and everything. Beautiful knife. And the way that they textured this, it's supposed to look like the, you know, like the building. But the way that they did this, it gives it a lot of grip. This titanium handle has more grip on it than any of the other titanium handles knives that I own. Actually feels really good. The detent on this is really good. Oh, detent ball, that's what I was trying to think about on the other thing. The detent on this one is perfect. They got this one dialed in just right. Next one up is another artisan knife. This is my favorite artisan knife of the year. This is my number one, to me, this is my favorite model, the favorite artisan knife that I have, that I think I like the best of all my artisan knives. I tried out pretty much all the 4-inch artisan knives. This is the one I like the best. The Archeo. It's named after like archaeology or ancient one or something like that. The Archeo. It's a Dylan Mallory design. It comes from the California Artisan Camp. Absolutely love this knife. 3.8mm blade stock. This one's an M390 also. Yep, M390 one. But I also have the S35VN one also. I absolutely love it. I love this one so much, I got it in every kind of configuration. I got the liner lock one with the G10 handles, and I got the brass one, and I got a bronze one too. And I got the other S35VN one. I really love this design. This knife is super lightweight. It feels super lightweight, super easy to carry. It hides very nicely in the pocket. It's a beautiful knife. I can't say enough good things about it. And it's an excellent cutter. Great for lunch. Excellent cutter. Excellent cutter. And I think it would be an excellent self-defense folder. Okay, next one up. Next one up. This is the new kid on the block. This is my line steel, SR11. It's got PVD finish. The black finish is all PVD. It's made in Italy. Yes, the handle is all one piece, made out of one piece, solid piece of billet of solid piece of aluminum. It's all one piece. There's nothing to come loose on this one. I think it's called a Roto Lock or Roto Lock or something like that. And it locks the frame. And this one doesn't move at all. It doesn't. The frame won't move at all once it's in its locked position. It's totally locked up. I saw a video on one of these, and somebody had one, and they said it didn't lock. Theirs didn't lock up like that. And when they went to go doing some batoning with it, it kept coming loose all the time. I think their knife must have been malfunctioned, because this one, when you have it locked up, it's locked up. It's a ball bearing knife. I think it has the IKBS ball bearings, if I'm not mistaken, like the Flavio Kuma ball bearings. It's aluminum frame. They also make this in titanium. The titanium one costs like $100 more than this one. Sometimes maybe $125 more. It looks exactly like it. It's just made out of titanium. I like this. Centers up perfectly. Beautiful knife. The pocket clip can be switched over from side to side. They give you a tool to remove this nut right here, so you can switch the pocket clip around. Nice deep carry pocket clip. I'll probably be getting another one of these too. I sort of want to get the one with the red handle. I told y'all I was going to be trying some different colors and knives. I don't want to just have all black knives. And the other two colors that they have in this one is, one that has red and the other one has orange handles I've seen so far. And they also have a gray one. I don't want the gray one. I have gray knives. I want the red one. I think I'm going to get the red one. I absolutely love this knife. This blade is super thick. It's 4.5 millimeters. It's got the crown. It's crowned so it doesn't look so thick, but it's 4.53 millimeters or something like that. The blade is 3.7 inches long. This is a super safe knife. Look at the way that flipper's made. They did that on purpose because they know. I wonder if the person decided to saw one of my videos when I was talking about flippers. But no, this is made like 4 years ago. This was the blade of the year 4 years ago. I just found out about it this past month. I'm so behind on a lot of these knives. I absolutely love this one. And this is a new one to me. I just received it yesterday. I bought it on eBay. It's an eBay purchase. I haven't even done a video on it yet. It's the first time anybody's seen it on my channel. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Line steel, SR11. They also have an SR22 if you want a smaller version. Oh, and the steel. The steel is called Sleipner. Sleipner steel. It's a German steel, and it was developed in Germany, in Udaheim or something like that. That was developed to be better than D2. It's a steel that will rust. It's not a rust. It's not a rustify or a rust fry or a rust-free steel. It will rust, but it does have chromium in it, so it's not super. It's not like a super high carbon steel will rust really easy. But that's the reason why I decided to get a black finished one. And if I get another one, I'm going to get another black finish one. I'm going to get maybe the black finish one with the red handles. That's what I'm thinking about getting. Because I was thinking about getting the one without the finish on it, but when I found out that, you know, it's a D2 that will rust, you know, it's supposed to be more corrosion resistant than standard D2. But standard D2, you know, it'll rust too, though. And it just doesn't, it's just harder, it just more rust resistant than like a 1095 or something like that. But it will rust. Don't think it won't rust. It will rust and stain. So I decided to get this one in black, and their coating is PVD. So it has a really good coating. This is all done in PVD. PVD wears hard. Not as hard as like a DLC, but it does wear hard. Made in Maniago, Italy, where all my switchblades come from. AKC and Beltrami switchblades, they all come from Maniago, Italy. Lion Steel's that's where Lion Steel is. But Lion Steel is one that makes the modern knives, though, not the old school knives. I think the Cold Steel knives that Cold Steel makes in Italy, I think they come from Lion Steel too. Also, I'm not sure. I think they all come from Lion Steel. But anyway, absolutely love it. That's SR 11. Y'all need to get one if you don't have one. Check them out. Next up, liner lock time. It's liner lock time. And here we go with the liner locks. That's an artisan tradition. I showed you guys my titanium version of this one and the brass version of this one. I also have this one in bronze and what's the other metal? Copper. Bronze and copper. Because they came out bronze, copper, and brass. The special edition ones from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I got all three of them. And the brass ones I've had out. The copper and the bronze, they're super heavy, so I just collected them. This is the one I like to carry. This is the one, the Micarta handle scales. It's got AR RPM 9, the new AR RPM 9 powdered steel, stainless steel. Very nice. I like this one actually better than the titanium one, to tell you the truth. Why? I don't know. I just like the coloring of it, and I like the way that the Micarta. I like the way Micarta feels better than aluminum or titanium. Micarta and G10 are like my two favorite handle scales, handle materials. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but most of my knives are probably G10. Micarta is something I've been just now getting into. I'm a latecomer to Micarta. Most of my knives are G10. This is the Briar, CJRB Briar. This is another great little knife for around $30. Another great little folder. It sort of reminds me of the Shark. The Artisan Shark, but it's a little bit smaller. This is like a 3.5 inch blade, I think it is, as opposed to the 4-inch blade. It looks a little bit longer than 3.5 inches. Might be a touch longer than 3.5 inches. I don't know. I think it's like about 3.5 inches. Because most CJRBs their big knives are like 3.5 inch blades. Excellent knife. And this is a safe one too. Whereas the Shark isn't safe, I would call this one safe. Because the flipper tab is a little bit longer than Shark's. They should have the same flipper tab on the Shark. And the Shark would have been safe too. And that has a nice finger groove. Those are two things that you need to make a knife safe if it's a liner lock to me. D2 blade. And it's got the carbon fiber laminate, G10 laminate handle scales. This is one of my new favorites, the Gobi. PVD coated. Contoured G10 handle scales. Aluminum backspacer. Anodized aluminum backspacer with the anodized aluminum pivot ring. Beautiful knife. Beautiful knife. Great work knife. Recessed pocket screws on the pocket clip. Right hand, left hand carry. Beautiful knife. I love the Persian style. Love the upset swept blade. This one was recommended to me by one of the viewers. Beautiful knife. Excuse me. Another new one, Storia. I like this one because it reminds me of the American Lawman. PVD coated, titanium pocket clip, and a pivot ring collar. And this one has thumb studs also. No, I don't use a thumb studs. You can use a thumb studs. Not my favorite way to open it. Because you know me, I've turned into a flipper person. So I prefer using my method for the flipper. To me, it's a lot easier and it feels more comfortable. And I don't know, I just like flipper knives. Flipper knives rock. All right, let's hurry and get through this before my battery runs out on there. I'm watching my battery, it's getting low. This is the Arson Arroyo. Natural G10, totally polished out, beautiful little knife. Beautiful little knife. As you see that, I got that swept blade like I like. I like the Persian style blades. Or Navaja style blade. Sort of looks like a Navaja style blade too. Spanish Mediterranean style. Beautiful knife. Highly recommended. Great in all grips. And this is the border. It's at the borderline where it starts to be almost too small. Because, you know, it barely fits in my hand. But I get a full four finger grip on it, you know, just barely though. But I love it. I love it. It's another great knife. And yes, I'm going to order another one of these. I'm going to get the one with the Smoky Mountain Knife Works one with the micarta handle scales. Kiku! Saw Kiku! Oh, this one has the AR RPM 9 still. Saw Kiko. This is a CTS 6 HP. I'm trying to rush through this now. Excellent knife. This is the all carbon fiber knife. It weighs hardly anything at all. This one's blade heavy. But the other one I have is more handle heavy. This one's blade, almost a little bit blade heavy. Excellent knife. Excellent knife. It's got black micarta scales, and the liners and everything are all carbon fiber. There's no steel in the handle. It's all carbon fiber. Can you see the carbon fiber right there? Super lightweight. It's also the more expensive version of the Kiku. And personally, I like the all steel one better. And here's another one of my new favorites. And it's one of the least expensive knives in this bunch. I think the only thing that's less expensive is the briar. This one right here is the least expensive knife in this whole drawer. This one was $37. But I like it better than just about every other knife in this drawer. It's got the AR RPM 9, stainless steel, powdered stainless steel. It's got the skeletonized handle scales. That's how the new ones are. This is the new one for this year. It's not one of the old ones. It's made a little bit differently. And they improved the action on it. The action on this is awesome. It's beautiful. I love this recoil lock. It's absolutely beautiful. G10 handle scales, thick stainless steel liner, recoil lock. I don't know if you want to call that a sheep's foot or a cleaver style blade. Either or works for me. 3.2 millimeters. Awesome. Awesome. 3.5 inches. Awesome, 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 awesome knife. This one is one of the ones I like to take to work every day. Every day. It's one of the great ones. Now, all these knives, my top picks would be for fidgeting. These are my top 3 for fidgeting. Right there. Cogent's number 1. CJRB be number 2. And Spyderco be number 3. The sliver axe. These are my favorite knives that carry to work. My top favorite knives to carry to work and to fidget with. Out of all these knives, out of all the other knives that you saw me have out here too that I showed to you, I like these knives the best. These are the ones I would recommend the most for work knives or fidget knives, work knives, everyday carry knives, knives that I feel like are still safe to be, knives for self-defense if need be. All these knives are. They're all awesome knives. Highly recommend these 3. These are my top 3. Now, with that aside, my next top 3 are the ones I like that aren't necessarily the best fidgeting knives, but they're just great pocket knives and great knives for work. My next 3 would be my Kershaw. I absolutely love this knife. It's absolutely nice. My case, Kenzua. And which one would be my next one? I'd have to say the Kiku. Kiku. I love the Kiku. I can't help it. I love the Kiku. I love it so much. I had to get another one so I could say I had one new for this year. Put in my box. I didn't want my box to go without a Kiku. I absolutely love the Kiku. Okay, and then for my bigger knives, now we're gonna get into bigger knives. These are the sizes I like to carry to work the most. Now for my bigger knives, my favorite push button, even though this one has the best action, it's not one that I really carry a lot. This one is a super duper knife, but I don't carry it a lot because it weighs a lot. It's kind of heavy. This is the one I carry the most out of those 3, out of my heavier knives. So I put this one up here. Next one. Bam. The Amalgam. Next one would have to be this one right now. But I have a funny feeling that this one's going to be in the mix, but this one's still a new knife. So I don't really have that much experience with it yet. But these 3 knives are the bigger knives I would probably carry the most. Now for my inside the vest jacket one, it would be this one. That's a motorcycle knife. This is a motorcycle knife too. These are pocket knives. And for pocket knives, I would have to say, for a motorcycle, I'd say these 2. Pocket knives would be these 3. Now, for big liner locks, or liner locks, I'd have to go with the most comfortable one in my hand. This is one of the most comfortable knives out of all these knives to hold in your hand. My Arson Tradition. The Gobi. Gotta have a Gobi. Gobi. And let me see the Briar. I really like the Briar. That one feels really good in hand. The Scoria feels really good in hand too. That's a new one. The Briar's an old knife. Old, new to me, but old for CJRB. And the Royal. I like the Royal. I like the Royal, so. These are my picks. My 3 liner lock picks. And well, these are my favorite fidgeters. This is a good fidgeter too, though, but let me put it over here. It doesn't fidget as fast as like the other ones because, I guess it does. If just fidget. I think it's a little bit slower, you know, because this is just, I don't know. It's hard to beat this Kojak. You have to spend a lot of money to beat the Kojak. I mean, like Malibu money. Because I think it'd be on par with the Malibu. I don't have a Malibu. That makes me want to get one just to compare the two knives. But I don't have a Malibu. I have thought about getting one in my past. But, you know, they're hard. It's another one of those knives that's hard to get. But I sort of want to get one just to compare it to this one, the Kojak. Because I think the Kojak's just as good as a Malibu, I bet. And this one right here, oh man. And this one feels like quality too. It just feels like a good quality knife. I mean, it just reeks quality. Made in Taichung. So, you know, it's made in the right place. And this one feels like good quality too. The CJRB. CJRB makes really good pocket knives. You know, good work knives for good prices. This one costs $165 or so. This one's $37. This one was like $63. They all do the same thing. They all do the same thing. They all serve the same purpose. I don't know. That's a hard choice there. I really like this one. It's a beautiful knife. CJRB. The Croc. This is called the Croc. Boom. All right, we're fixing to run out of battery here, so I'm gonna close this one off. Put this one out there for you guys tonight, so you guys can see it tonight. But these are my favorites. The new dagger knives. My motorcycle knives, dagger knives, Condor, the Hogue X5, the Amalgam for pocket knives, Amalgam, the Arson RKO, the Sinkovich design. This is Dylan design. Sinkovich design ZT, the Arroyo, Arson Arroyo, CJRB Gobi. The Arson Tradition, the SOG Kiku, the Case Cutlery, Kinzua, the Kershaw Bare Knuckle, the Spyderco Sliver Axe, the Civivi Kojak, and the CJRB Croc. Those are my knives of the year. I can't pick one. I can't pick one. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. This is the closest I can get to picking one. These are my work knives, pocket knives, my favorite knives to carry of the year. Now I'm gonna do another video. I'll do another video tomorrow probably, and it's gonna be on my cold steels I like. You know, my cold steels and other knives I like. Knives that aren't flippers. These are all my favorite flippers. These are my favorite flippers of the year. So my other knives will be the knives that aren't flippers. They'll be like cold steel, Benchmades, and other knives I have purchased this year that weren't flippers. But anyway, the majority of my knives I purchased this year were flippers. You just saw the majority of them. The next video won't be that big. Peace out. Stiletto. Ho, ho, ho. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Peace.